Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Catching Exceptions. We're here at SUGCON in Berlin with my wonderful panel, which includes Una and Livia and Ishraq, and I'm Martina. The theme of today is kind of helping our customers get the most out of Sitecore, whether that's something as basic as starting to collect data, all the way over to cortex and machine learning, and how do we do that within the confines of a legal system and ethics and being a good person.
So what typically happens, it's two scenarios. You either end up with a client who doesn't know what exactly they want and all they need is Sitecore as a CMS, or those who have already sat with a Sitecore salesperson and told them about all the cool stuff on Sitecore. So they come so excited and energetic. They want to do like cortex. They want to marketing automation and all the advanced stuff that you can't get once you start working with Sitecore. So basically what we try to take a step back and show them Sitecore as an entire platform, how it's differently connected together. Teach them in order to reach to a point where you have this one connected view of your customer journey across all the different channels. You have to break it down to step by step. You need to break it to the building blocks of the experience before jumping into an advanced concept such as marketing automation.
The clients usually, they want machine learning, they want cortex, and they want it by tomorrow. Yeah. And they do need to understand that there is a process behind, and they do need to collect the data that is needed for the machine learning and bring business, bring marketing and IT together to work for a strategy. Because only in that way they can achieve the 360-degree on the customers that they have, and in that way they will be able to catch everything that they can about their customers and to use that data for their business.
And can you give us some insight into what that plan looks like? So you talked about going from plain HTML all the way to some of the more advanced features like marketing automation in your talk. Once we're at that stage where we've collected some data, what does the process look like to get to cortex, to get to machine learning?
Well, there is one part which is missing in it, is the data scientist. I mean, someone needs to analyze that data, and it's completely unrealistic that a Sitecore developer can do that because they're focused on the code, they're focused on the technology, and I think there are very high expectations when it comes to the cortex, and people should understand that there is no magical button that you can just push and everything will happen out of the blue. There's a lot of statistics involved in that regard to make it right, to choose which algorithm is the right one. And also, you need a business analyst. What do you want to achieve with that data? What is your goal? Do you just want machine to tell you what kind of patterns it has discovered? Mm-hmm. Or do you want, as a business value, to target something specific?
So with machine learning, the number of roles you've described, the complexity in the process, it sounds like you have to be at quite a mature level as a customer to be able to use that effectively. If we dial it back to something as basic, I say basic, something that's been around for a long time in Sitecore, like personalization, what kind of prerequisites are there for just something as simple as that?
Nowadays, personalization is a must. So you can't find clients who don't even know what personalization is. And in the terms of digital marketing, this is one of the most hot topics that anyone would have to deal with. Now, how mature they are and when we can move to the next step of having like machine learning, it depends on their maturity and personalization. Because for the most cases, they might end up having just personalization. That's enough for them because that's going to meet their objectives of having this online presence and having a website and even a customer journey. Sometimes machine learning can help you to identify what other channels you are missing, what other capabilities you just overlooked that actually is the most relevant to the customer experience. And that's how you can decide sometimes whether to stay with personalization or it's not sufficient enough and you need to go with more advanced through artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Like, would you just decide to do machine learning for the sake of it, or do you need like a pretty solid specific business case in order to get something out of it?
I would go with machine learning when you have a business case for it. And I think that nowadays, mostly of our clients, they do have a business case for machine learning. But I would not recommend it just because it's cool and just have it without a strategy. around it. And how you said the personalization, it's there and the clients they are using. So I think that it's really important to start with the basics, things that today we consider them basic, because 2-3 years ago, I remember when I was still convincing the clients what personalization is and how good is for them the personalization. And today, of course, that they are, that's a must, of course, that we need to have it. And most probably machine learning and Cortex, it's the same. In 2-3 years, they will know how to use it and they will discover the value of it.
I'm guessing you have to collect some personal data in order to make an inference about a human being. Maybe it's not their name, but maybe it's their location. I mean, do most data sets that are used for machine learning, do they contain some kind of personal data?
I mean, the thing is, the model would be better with all those additional infos, but considering the GDPR, which is coming in place next month actually, we all need to adjust. I mean, things are changing, and it's not actually a bad change considering everything that has happened in the last couple of years with the data breaches and the stolen identities, etc. So we just need to learn to adapt. I think if they make the proper strategy, they will realize that a lot of that data is just a noise. Where actually, if you have a lot of data which is not relevant for what you want to achieve, you're going to end up with the wrong model. So you also need a certain data set which is clean to train that model, so the data that is relevant for your business case.
Mm-hmm. With GDPR, there are a number of data rights that are going to come into force, and one of the most talked about one is the right to be forgotten, which is delete me from everywhere. And with the platform as far-reaching as Sitecore, you've got a customer, potentially if you're using commerce, you have a user, you have a contact. Have they submitted form data? Do I have a third-party kind of CRM or something hooking in? Do I have a legacy database that nobody knows about anymore? If I ask to be forgotten and my data is in play as part of training a model or in a machine learning context, what happens?
It will affect if the model has been trained on the personalized data. So then you need to take a different approach and to create a different model.
There's another part of GDPR, which is the right to be excluded from automated profiling and really advanced personalization. We were talking earlier, all of us, about what if a kid is using their parent's laptop and they get really personalized content for the parent that's not appropriate for a child, and where do you stand legally? Can you do anything?
The GDPR here is where it's helpful, because you as a human being, then you will accept, do I want my data to be collected or not?
I guess the difference with GDPR is that there's now very specific fines you get if you don't adhere, and they've spelled out the data rights, like you have to consent to any kind of processing, and processing means pretty much anything. Personal data, as far as I understand it, I'm not a legal person, is defined very vaguely. So depending on the context, certain areas that you collect might be described as personal data for that company. So you need lawyers in there, you need someone who understands the data to be able to say, yes, you're kind of not acting in the spirit of the law. And yeah, it's going to be tricky.
And I think one of the things that we are forgetting, I mean, we all work in IT companies, we all have technological knowledge, but we need to think about the end clients as well. I mean, I don't expect that my grandmother knows what the cookie is, except the one which she makes for me. And I don't expect that people understand how much data they're actually leaving behind.
No, I see people going, oh, it's so annoying with these kind of privacy notices. And I'm like, have you read them? Because we know exactly what you've been doing. And
usually they don't really.
No, they just kind of, okay. And then they go off and do something dodgy on the internet, and stuff gets collected. Yeah. So not to scare anyone about GDPR, we're just emphasizing we're taking it seriously. There are already a bunch of features in XConnect that are geared, and EXM actually, that are geared specifically towards helping customers become compliant with GDPR. So there is the execute right to be forgotten feature in XConnect, which clears anything you've marked as personal data. It gets rid of identifiers. There's a button for it in Xfile I discovered the other day. I saw it and I was like, oh, bonus.
So there is a magic button for that.
Yeah, there is a magic button for that. Anything you guys are particularly excited about in the roadmap ahead for Sitecore?
Zenith, right?
Oh, Zenith.
Yeah. I think that's just a cool new drag and drop tool that's gonna actually sell Sitecore even more. Because what we saw with the marketing automation, the ability to do everything just by drag and drop, it's actually, for the most cases, it is a selling point, because the first thing that comes to mind, they don't have that much of learning curve to learn how to drag and drop. All they need is just to understand what are the different elements and how to create a campaign and trigger different activities, and that's it.
For me, I mean, part of the Sitecore I'm really happy about and enthusiastic is SXA, because we started with our implementation of the website with 1.1, and it's so nice to see how actually that part of Sitecore is growing and how it's actually expanding now. So if you look at it, it started with 1.1, it had certain issues, the team is absolutely phenomenal, they've taken everything that the community has said, they took all our feedback, and if you see now the 1.6, it's way more stable, and you have completely the production environments with it, and now on top of it you have the storefront, so you have the commerce, so the things are starting to overlap. And I think that is the biggest change that I'm seeing in Sitecore, that all of a sudden all those separate parts who were on top of Sitecore are now starting to communicate with each other, and I think that XConnect is the one who really opened the door.
In the future, it's more and more self-sufficient to offer you everything that you need as a customer from an experience platform. So you will have the commerce there already integrated with all your third parties through the XConnect, the machine learning through Cortex. I think that, you know, the name really tells very well what is it. Connect, XConnect, connects everything. And that's really important nowadays to ensure that you have everything connected in one place.
It's really helped to have a looser model for what an interaction is. I don't know if did you go and see the XConnect? No, it was this morning's talk where they talked about having a fake page event and a fake interaction. It's made such a big difference for it to just be interaction, whatever event you want, go crazy. It can be a call center, it can be a page event.
Yeah, I think in the next year or two we're going to see things, because it also takes time for people to adapt. You need to upgrade the platform, you need a business case, you need to rewrite certain things, you need to test. It takes time.
Thank you all so much for joining in the panel today. We've covered quite a lot. We've done processing, Cortex, GDPR, everything under the sun really. Do you guys have any final comments for the community that you want to share?
Join the Sitecore community. Join us.
I would like to see more people joining in and researching these areas, so not just wait the business case. So instead of waiting that the job come to you and the challenge, try to research it more, and there are a lot of people who are doing that in the community. So just contact, bring the idea, and let's just try out new things.
Yeah, I second on about that. So don't wait for an actual work to come, just go and experiment with it, and there's lots of cases that can come up out of it, and any single and small contribution to the community actually counts and helps everyone to understand the platform even more, so just do it.
This has been Catching Exceptions from SUGCON in Berlin. We're going to go drink some beers or non-alcoholic beverages and catch you next time.